I was working on podcast artwork this week, and I only spent 25 hours of my week on it this week. So no, I think within reason, certainly,
I can't match that with the time I spent submitting the podcast to Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I tried to spend a lot of time on that, but it was pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I'm committed. I don't know how else to say it, man. I'm committed. I'm all in. I'm all in, like the All In Summit. Segway, boom, boom, boom. Sorry, that was so cheesy.
You watched the whole Tobi video, not just the clip that you posted.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I watched, and I watched it back again today. It was kind of cool what I did, because I've gotten so used to doing this in Descript, I pulled it in Descript in order to do the clip originally. Yeah. And then what I did is, when I wanted to watch it today, I put it at 1.2x speed. I removed all the filler words, and then removed, because Descript makes it easy to remove filler words, and then I removed spaces in between words. And then, when you play it, the cursor is going over the words as you read it. So it was a pretty good way to just zone in and just really, because normally I can't watch things on my computer. Like I end up doing something else and getting distracted. Normally, the only way I can really listen is if it's in my podcast and I'm doing something else, kind of a deal. But that ended up being a good way to actually just sit down, and it brought it down from like 29 minutes to like 17 minutes. So I just was able to actually absorb it. It was kind of cool.
Nice. So, it's important. Like I sped it up like 1.5. I was like, are they talking like really slow? Because it sounds like normal at 1.5.
But it's hard. Tobi is a little hard to follow at. Yeah. Because not only pronunciation, but also because he kind of, what he says is kind of dense. Like I had to scrub it back a couple times, but
it's dense. He speaks pretty fast for like a non-native English speaker.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he totally does. I feel like he says like a lot for a German. Like I say like a lot, but I feel like he says it a lot.
The Canadianness has rubbed off on him.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess my biggest sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was interesting that like a lot of the presenters were Canadian as well. Like Chamath, he's Canadian, so it was kind of a Canadian love fest.
I totally forgot he was Canadian. He feels like the most American person I've ever met. Like his whole deal with wanting to have the most power and money in the world and stuff like that. That doesn't feel Canadian at all.
Chamath is like known, for being like an owner in the San Francisco Warriors, the NBA team.
Okay, yeah. That sounds familiar.
It's like what he's kind of like known for these days, and then like SPACs it's kind of. It's a little infamous now.
Yeah, he's become kind of infamous. I had no idea he was Canadian. He doesn't feel Canadian at all to me. But as a matter of fact, I think I want to challenge that. I think I want to go on record challenging. I want to see the birth certificate. I want to see the. No, I'm just kidding. I want to see the documents. But and then there's the whole like in the arena meme that's been going around for. I think I saw the original tweet he had posted where he said he was in the arena. I can't remember anymore what it was about, but I'm in the arena, like just trying things. Some works. Yeah, right. Like I didn't quite understand why that took off so much. Okay, here we go. I found it. Somebody was criticizing him. Gaff, why did you not sell when I sold? Talking about how do you live yourself? Oh, so you're talking about investments. Oh, he's calling him pump and dumper. And let me do a screen share. And even though we're not going to actually share this, well, potentially, but I'll just share it. In theory, we might at some point.
policy is not to actually screen share anymore. It's too much work.
It's a lot of, dude, it's a significant amount of work if there's anything that needs to be scrubbed. But for
Yeah.
non-scrubbable things, it's good to have. So, and feel free to interrupt me if we don't want to talk about this. But in this tweet, somebody's criticizing him for
it's with
selling
his investment stuff, like SPACs and everything.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of controversy that like he made a lot of money on doing the SPACs, and then he got out before it really tanked, and so it seems like he made a lot of money at the expense of other people. Maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I get that, but didn't he build He's done some stuff, right? Like he's like a smart dude. Like also.
I mean, he's been
not
in
just
venture capital for a while, so
okay.
he's
He's an investor. I don't know, man. I think he's a smart investor, dude. I think. I basically go, and this is going to tie into something that's about Ryan Peterson and Flexport too. I basically go off a gut feel, like, yeah, is he a bit much at times? Of course, but he's a smart investor. I mean, do we really want to argue that he's not a smart investor? Is that really what people are saying? Like, come on. Of course, people are going to criticize you with pump and dump if you sell something at the right time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't sell at the right time, they're going to say you're dumb. And then, like, if you promote, like, I don't know, dude. It's like you were saying. It's so hard to do a good job of investing. Like, even if you're talking about people that invest in SaaS and stuff like that, like like angel investors. Like, it's so hard. So people that do it well, you got to give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm. I think where it becomes like a little tricky is people. I think people make some money like early on. They get maybe lucky, but it's not really luck. It was it was a bet. Like even people that invested in Bitcoin, 5 or 6 years ago, they got lucky. But you make your own luck. And then after like that notoriety of like a couple good bets, or maybe even one bet, people start following you, and they maybe follow you off a cliff, and you make bad bets, but you have so much money at that point, like you have a lot to lose, and then other people, maybe make stupid, investment decisions, and they don't have the money to lose. Like with crypto stuff, I'm sure a lot of people lost a lot of money on crypto that really couldn't afford, to lose their retirement or something like that. But I don't think that's the fault of the either person, honestly. I mean, it's kind of the fault of the person that did the investment. It's up to them. But if they follow the wrong person, that's kind of on them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at the point where you can sort of move the market, like if you're big enough to kind of move markets, then you're definitely in a different position. And I guess in some ways it's like you're playing on easy mode, kind of. But like, I don't know, dude. Investing is so incredible. And don't investment companies have track records? Like, doesn't he have some kind of a really good overall percentage track record for his fund?
I think so. Usually
Social
they
capital.
don't put too much of that public, but sometimes it gets public. And it's, you
Really?
have good years, you have bad years, with the stock market, with venture capital, some years are down years. So you really have to look at it over 10 years. Like what's my return on average per year? Because you'll have good and bad years.
Yeah, I don't know. My sense is that he's a good investor. The people just don't like him because he's outspoken. He says things like he doesn't have a filter,
Yeah.
Like he said some things that I looked at and I was like, dude, that's like. But like he is in the arena in the sense that he's making investments. He's speaking public. Like even just speaking publicly on a big podcast is a massive risk to your, to being canceled, to your reputation. Like he's gotten slammed for something that was kind of an offhand comment that if you had said it privately with friends would have been like whatever. You know, so he is in the arena in that sense, trying things, doing things, risking things, you know, risking money, capital, risking his reputation. So like I have as much fun with anybody else with the in the arena meme. It's just kind of fun right now. But
Yeah.
like I don't get, I think people get to this stage where they're just, people like to shit on them, and then,
Right.
you know, like Elon's in that category, you know?
Hmm.
Like, and
He's
you kind of, you
outspoken. He
know,
puts himself out
yeah,
there, and there's a
yeah,
lot to grab
yeah.
onto. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I know we've
Yeah. I think
spent a lot of time on this.
the whole all-in podcast, it's an industry where it's not normally, you know, people aren't normally super outspoken or don't speak publicly about a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
investment stuff. And so, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Chamath,
Mm-hmm.
Jason, and David, you know, they say a lot of controversial stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and it creates conversation, it creates dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, they like gotten themselves like canceled so many times, like on an Elon Musk. It's like
Yeah.
they're almost uncancelable because they just
Right.
say so much stuff. It's just like you can't keep
Right.
up with it.
Right. Right. And
It's
like,
fine.
yeah, and I mean these type, like, they're investors at a high level, and normally investors at that level, like, you know, they call a guy and they tell him, give him a tip, and then the tip makes the guy hundreds of millions of dollars, and then these guys are just saying that type of stuff out in the open,
Yeah.
and so, you know, I don't watch it regularly or anything. I did for a little bit. I started watching it regularly. It's very cringe inducing, like just the way they argue with each other and stuff like that. It's a little hard to watch, but I mean, it's interesting content, you know. But
Sorry, I lost
anyways,
your audio for a second after cringe
oh, okay.
inducing. Yeah, but
It's cringe. It's cringe
yeah.
inducing.
What
Um,
kind of back to the whole Shopify
yes,
aspect of why we're
yes.
talking about the all-in podcast. It was interesting that they had Tobi on because Shopify isn't a super like venture capital success story. They did raise like 100 million of Series C funding from pretty
Hmm.
like not well-known venture capital companies. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that Shopify themselves have been so active in venture capital recently, like investing. I even saw like one of my connections on LinkedIn. He just got hired as their business development lead of private equity and venture capital at Shopify.
Oh wow.
So I think they're, you know, and with the Flexport stuff, and we can talk about that more. I think Shopify has a lot more interest in investing in the ecosystem themselves, and they're seeing, oh, we can potentially make money on our investments, and we have a lot of data about what works and what doesn't work, and doing things like, you know, and they invested in Klaviyo, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, and Klaviyo is going public next week, I think. So yeah, I think they're interested in that aspect of the venture capital industry.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't really understand that side very well, and I'm sure it exists, but like when I listen to Toby talk, and also like when I listen to Harley talk, but probably more so Toby, like even in the all-in thing, like the way he describes why they were cool with the buy with Prime deal. You know, like I was imagining all sorts of negotiating and hardballing and da da da. And, you know, the way he described it, and I believe him the way he describes it. He's like, listen, like I'm a blue collar engineer, you know, like I want to build stuff, open source kind of ethos. And we didn't want, you know, we wanted customers to have what they wanted. I don't want to be fighting over percentage points and blah, 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 blah. And I just believe him, dude. I believe everything that comes out of his mouth. He's
I
so believable, you know?
I I like Toby. I don't believe him on that explanation because
Come on, dude.
okay, just to set the record straight, a year ago Amazon launched Buy with Prime, and Shopify said, "Oh, this is a violation of our terms of service. It basically, it's going to get you kicked off of the
Right.
platform." And it took a
I gotta get
year,
my
I think,
shades on for this. Yeah. Sorry.
of like backroom negotiations, or I mean, just negotiations in general. Before, I guess, like a couple weeks ago, Shopify announced, "Oh, there's an official Buy with Prime, you know, integration coming. Like they didn't even have it ready. They still had, the janky Amazon version for the past
Yeah.
year. So I don't really
Yeah.
buy that explanation of like, oh yeah, we really wanted to partner with them. I think that they felt like it was inevitable at some point, and they needed to come to terms with the terms. And I'm sure Amazon's going to get a cut, and Shopify is going to get a cut, and everyone's
Right.
happy now.
I mean,
Yeah.
right. And he didn't necessarily say that from day one they were super interested in that. I mean, and he did say that they tried to build out the fulfillment stuff. And I'm sure if they could have gotten to, a Prime-esque type of model fast enough, that they would have been like, all right, screw them. Like we don't need them. We're not gonna let them get their grubby fingers into into our customer base. But obviously that didn't work. They're hoping Flexport's gonna pull that off. But from like, and also the thing I like, there's this massive, like, it's a huge company. So then I think to myself, like, when I see Toby talk and also Harley, like, it feels like they have their own vision for things, and
Yeah.
like they have a lot of pull. But I can imagine that Buy with Prime thing having been batted down at like 7 or 8 layers below it, even before it even got to them initially, you know? And
Yeah.
then, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be so many like layers. Like, the more I listen to Toby talk, like, he really talks about the entrepreneur. And I almost think like he really, like, I could almost imagine he doesn't even care about the plus side of the market. Like, that's all me and you
Yeah.
care about as far as building a business, trying to make money, trying to make it living out on these streets. But like, he's constantly focused on the entrepreneur, the smaller guy, you
Mhm.
know?
I
And
think it's been
it
a
just,
balance that they've had to strike of being a profitable company and making money, because they're public. That's kind of like their goal in life is to make money. But I do think
yeah,
that he has like a real heart for the
yeah,
small merchants just starting out. And Harley and his COO or CFO, is probably like, okay, like, but we need to increase revenues. We need to
right,
increase profitability, Toby. Like,
right,
these
right.
$5 snowboard shops aren't going to pay the bills, buddy.
Yeah, so there's got to
Like,
be tons of competing
yeah,
interests and things like that within the company.
yeah.
Um, but like, he
Well,
talked about how, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, as we talked about last time too, the ecosystem, it's actually hard for the ecosystem to support the smaller merchants. And
Right.
I think he said something good that I liked. It was like, Um, he said like their model is like, when the merchants make money, Shopify makes money, because they get a cut of the payments. So
Hmm.
they're invested in helping everyone make money. Um,
Hmm.
but I think it gets more complicated when you get into the partnerships, um, and
Hmm.
like who makes the money basically. Like Amazon. Does Amazon make more money on the Buy with Prime orders versus Shopify orders? Um,
Yeah.
he said it's not about percentages. I think it is. I think it's partially about percentages. Like, everyone's got to make their cut. They're not doing it for free, but
Well, yeah. But like, specifically what he said though is that he doesn't, or he said, he's not going to get hung up on percentages, which
yeah,
I could see him being the one in the negotiation that's like not focusing on, like,
yeah,
not indexing on that. And maybe that's the CFO. Maybe that's obviously there's other people that are a lot more focused on that than he is, type of thing. But
totally.
you know what I
I
mean?
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's
So,
he
and
just he wants to do like what's right for the merchant, and it's amazing to have someone like at the top that has that passion.
yeah, yeah, dude. Like, I really like, and I do this a lot. It's the same with Elon. Like, I was talking to somebody about this. Like, I tend to really like fall in love with a character or a person. I tend to be like a true believer kind of a thing. And then
Yeah.
something happens and I just fucking hate them. It's like I get very, and then other people are much more measured, you
Yep.
know, and it drives me crazy. But like, I get it.
I do the
Um,
same thing. I've gone through my Elon Musk hating phase.
Yeah. I thought you were still in your Elon hating phase.
I think the pain of him taking over or not Shopify, Twitter or X. I think it's
Uh,
dulled a little bit. It's just like, okay, this is life now, just
uh,
desensitized to this weird Twitter universe that we live in
yeah.
now. I mean,
Yeah.
Xverse. Uh,
I still call it
I don't
Twitter.
know.
Come on, dude. I still call it
Yeah,
Twitter.
yeah, yeah.
Once they start, because I really think that they're going to do payments like they're going to be like, is it Weibo? What's that? What's the app in China that does everything, that does payments?
WeChat.
WeChat. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
can pay your rent, you can anything. Like I think it is going to become that. And I think when it does become that, then it's going to feel more like an X, but it just feels like a Twitter to me right now,
Yeah.
you know.
Did
But
you read any of the Elon Musk biography?
I
That just
didn't, dude, but
just
I
okay.
didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet about it and I was like, "Oh, I should probably read that," but
Okay.
I'm such an idiot when it comes to reading.
I I've listened to like the first chapter on an audiobook, and I know that there's a lot in there, like his motivations for buying Twitter, and it seemed like it was almost like more of a he was kind of bullied as a kid, and
Mhm.
I think the author said something like he was like bullied on Twitter, and he was like, well, I have the money to like buy the playground so that I can
Nah.
like prevent the bullies
Dude.
from I don't know.
Was this a
I think he's a
collaborative inter
complicated person. He had complicated motivations.
Was this like a collaborative interview or was it a combative
No, no,
biography?
is it Walter Isaacson? He did like the Steve Jobs biography. Um,
Okay.
he's like honestly
He's the
probably the
guy.
most famous biographer now, and so he's it was like authorized. It wasn't like like a hit piece. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha. Fair.
yeah.
Um, but I don't see it as like I'm gonna buy the playground so nobody can argue with me. Like I really think
No,
he believes in free speech. I take him at his word when he says he really cares about it and he
yeah.
wants to kind of restore that.
I
Because
don't
I
think it
don't
was like
feel
about
like
suppressing free speech. It was more like making the bullies like behave. Like yeah,
yeah, I agree with that.
and
I
it's a
agree with that.
different perspective, and people could look at it as like suppressing free speech. But I think he felt like bullied on Twitter, and he wanted to kind of like control that a little more.
Well,
And
I got
and
you.
he loved Twitter. He loved X,
Yeah,
so he was like, okay, I
yeah,
can fix this.
yeah, yeah. That'll be interesting to see. So many topics in the doc. I don't even know where to start. We're already
I
32 minutes
know.
in.
I mean, you
So many
could
things.
talk more about the Flexport stuff. Like they talked
Yes.
about that in
Okay.
the All In
Yeah.
podcast. I know you have feelings around Flexport and
I
everything.
have feelings. Yeah. I just remember, like, again, Ryan Peterson is a guy, I don't know a lot about Flexport. I just remember with the Long Beach port thing when it was shut down and hearing
Hmm.
about Flexport at that time. And he just got in there and figured it out. And he seems to me like, and I felt this way before I heard what Tobi said, but Tobi's like, he's fucking awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And, and like, I see him as a really good founder that he built
Mhm.
this incredible company, Flexport. I don't know really very much at all about Flexport, but they're solving hard problems in logistics, fucking trucks and, like complicated stuff. And so my understanding is that they're trying to go down market with the offering in order to be something that makes sense for the Shopify customer base. And that's going to be a hard thing to do. And then there's this whole Dave, what's his face, the Amazon guy that was there for like a year and then he stepped down and Ryan Peterson steps back in. And it's obviously a hot mess. He's got job offers he's rescinding and all sorts of crazy shit's going down. He's talking about he's got to make like profitability is like an issue. Like sounds like they're probably bleeding. You kind of read between the lines, like that guy Dave, what's his face? He said like in his tweets, he was like, well, I thought I was going to be doing bigger things, and basically the leadership, or he's basically referring to Brian Peterson, wants to focus on logistics. And it's like, yeah, dude, he wants to focus on logistics, man. Like, I should find this tweet, but anyway, so he's stepping into this huge mess, obviously,
Mhm.
and he's having to deal with stuff, job offers rescinded, all sorts of crazy shit. And so, anyways, there was this post by Rick Watson. Do you follow Rick Watson, dude? Dude, he posts some
Yeah,
banger LinkedIn
on
posts. I'm
LinkedIn.
not,
Yep.
yeah, like he's like a very, very, very thoughtful dude. And he was just shitting on it hardcore. And so I can't even find this post in the doc, dude. I'm a mess right now. Oh, here we go. So, we had a little back and forth on it, but he was saying like this is a smoke screen, like this is nothing, and that it's just like all bullshit, basically. And I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, it's Flexport is obviously a massively successful. It's a unicorn. It's like valued at 10 billion. I guess they raised some money recently. Maybe it sounds like money is an issue, but they're operating like this is. They're not making an email marketing app, dude. They're solving logistics, man. They're freaking solving. You know what I mean? Like trucks and pallets from China and all sorts of crazy shit, dude. So, is it going to be trivial for them to go down market and do the thing that Shopify Fulfillment Network failed at? No, it's not going to be trivial, but like I think he can pull it off. Like I believe in him to pull it off, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
mean, kind of back to the whole like transition of the CEOs. I think probably because of the, venture capital market has like changed. People are focusing more on profitability because it's harder to raise money from outside investors. And, probably the former CEO joined, feeling like, okay, we can just keep on raising money. We can keep on growing. We don't have to make a lot of money. And
mhm,
then, it was a little harder to raise the next round, and they were like, oh shoot, like we need to focus on profitability. Like everyone talks about focusing on profitability right now.
mhm,
Um, but then I think that like changed kind of the, I don't know, mission of the company,
mhm,
and they're less in growth mode and more in like a stabilization mode. Um,
mhm.
but then like the whole Shopify, Flexport, I don't know, Deliverr acquisition is now another growth move. So it's like, okay, like we're gonna slow down what we're doing, which is their primary business, I think, is freight forwarding, kind of more of
Right,
the bigger container ships and that kind of stuff. And now
right.
we're gonna look at doing shipping and like 3PL stuff. And I don't know if they actually have that kind of experience. They have the experience of like the big long distances, but not necessarily so much of like the individual deliveries and fulfillments and everything.
I see.
But
I see.
seems Toby's pretty confident that like he can solve it. Like he has a brain for that. Um,
I think
hopefully
so.
they can.
That's exactly what I think. I mean, I was pulling up his LinkedIn to see what he did before Flexport, but this is it. I mean, that's what he's been doing
Yeah, I was
for
doing
like
the same thing.
10 years. But like, yeah, dude, like, I mean, he's a unicorn founder. There's
Hmm.
not that many of them. And do, you know, like the way Toby described it was that for Shopify, it was a side quest, and he's like, I'm big on main quests. That's Flexport's main quest, and,
Yeah,
and, and so yeah, I wasn't totally clear on the difference between the 3PL stuff and the freight forwarding stuff. But I
it
don't know,
is.
man. Like something Peter Thiel said is that we're not techno optimists anymore. Like we're
Mm,
not optimistic about technology. Everything is negative about technology. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. Like here's a
mhm.
dude who built like an amazing tech company, and he's trying to do some things related, and it's like why can't we believe in this guy? You know,
Hmm.
that's kind of my that's kind of my spiel.
the, the the whole side quest thing is interesting, is an interesting description, because I mean it's kind of an admission that, oh, this was a distraction. It was
Yep.
a $1.3 billion distraction. Like in their financial statements, basically they wrote off, oh, we lost $1.3 billion on buying Deliverr, and then
hmm
essentially giving it to Flexport for like, a bigger stake in Flexport.
hmm hmm
Um, so I'm very curious, like whose idea or like who was initially responsible for making the decision. Oh, we're going to acquire Deliverr for I think it was like $2 billion originally, um, because someone else made this painful decision to say like, oh, we're not doing this,
hmm
even even though we lose 1.3 billion dollars in value, we're going to just
hmm
hand this off like.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised, and this shows how little I understand about logistics, because I'm still surprised Shopify couldn't pull this off, because it feels like the kind of thing. Like if you would have rewinded to the point
Yeah.
when they started building this, I would have been like, dude,
Yeah.
of course they could do this. Like Toby thinks they can do it, they can do it. But
Yeah.
actually, in this thread, this dude Miles Thomas, actually, where I was going back and forth with Rick Watson, and we were honestly like high level, like nobody's really talking about anything neither of us were talking about anything substantive. And this
Yeah.
dude pops in and he's like, I have some observations to add to the discussion, and he's talking about like he's getting like this is a guy that I think worked in he was a enterprise architect, multi-channel supply chain for John Lewis for 3 years. I'm not sure that I guess,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess that's a retailer. But anyways,
Yeah.
dude, he's talking about how chain constraints such as reduction of draft through Panama leading to delays and increased costs due to needing a sail with less cargo on board, cost of fuel leading to slow steaming. And he's drilling, like he was drilling into, he goes, it's not the raw credit that's the constraining factor to trade, it's credit insurance guarantees, without which companies buying product may need to pay up front before goods go FOB. Not sure what that means. But this is like, I like hearing, and I was planning to sit down and digest this a little better, but this guy, like this fucking guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to some of the logistics stuff.
It's yeah, I think it kind of shows that the logistics and the shipping is a lot more complicated than anyone really understands.
Yeah.
Um, I think Shopify and Toby admitted, yeah, this is not our expertise. We tried and we realized like we can't do this. Um, his justification for doing it in the first place was something like we could amortize the cost of doing like their own fulfillment over
Mm-hmm.
millions of merchants. So they felt
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we have this opportunity to help
Mm-hmm.
millions of merchants, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
admirable. But
Mm-hmm.
I think they realized that they can't do it like good enough to
Mm-hmm.
not like lose money. I mean, I think that was the problem for them. They had spent like $2 billion on it, and they were still
Mm-hmm.
losing money on shipping. So it's like, well, what's the point of providing this service if you're going to lose so much money um,
Mm-hmm.
over it? So I think it was the spinoff was like, okay, let's give it to someone that we think can make it profitable and sustainable, and also provide this service that we want our merchants to have.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, just bits versus atoms, right? Like Shopify is an incredible company, but it's software,
Yeah.
and this is where I think that Ryan Peterson has the experience on the atoms side. I mean, not manufacturing things, but dealing with all of the actual logistics, cargo ships, all that kind of stuff. Like
Hmm.
it just feels to me like it's a lot more in his lane,
Yeah.
um, in their lane, in that company's lane, to figure that out. But yeah,
Yeah.
dude, stuff is kind of gnarly.
It's, I think it's an interesting example of something we've talked about of like, whether Shopify invests in something or they have a partner to do something or they try to do it themselves. This is an
hmm
example of something they tried to do themselves. Like they had the Shopify fulfillment network I remember they announced it when I was at Unite, like 2019, 2018.
hmm hmm
And they're gun-ho of like, oh, we're gonna do it. And then I don't think well, I know it, got off the ground, but I heard a lot of complaints that like, shipping was too slow. They weren't, meeting their SLAs and that kind of thing. So I think
hmm
they acquired Deliverr. So I think they went full circle. They started it on their own, did an acquisition to do it, and then they realized that, oh, this is not what we're good at. So then they had a partner to do it.
Mhm.
And hopefully the third and final option can actually do it well.
Can actually work. Because it's
Yeah.
so crazy. Like I haven't really bought anything on Shopify third-party sites, I mean, for years. And as I've been starting to look at that more, it's so crazy. You go to buy something and it's like $5 shipping for like 3 to 5 days ground. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, dude. Like I don't understand how that hasn't been solved. Like it's crazy, dude. It's like the dumbest thing. But
Okay, if you think about it, like kind of taking Amazon out of the perspective, like
then it makes sense.
shipping
Yeah.
costs something. Like there is a
Yeah.
cost, whether it's baked into the product or it's free shipping. Um, and so the challenge is once you start offering free shipping, then it's kind of on you to try to actually reduce the shipping costs as much as possible because that's coming out of your bottom line. That's coming out of your pocket as a merchant. Um,
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're just passing on the shipping to the customer, theoretically, you don't really care how much it is to ship, except for the fact that you realize, competing against free shipping, people start totaling up, oh, this is the total cost of my order, including shipping. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
buy from the lowest cost provider.
Yeah. And it's so crazy how they just add shipping onto the price of the product and it's like you don't even, it's
Yeah.
such a weird psychological thing, but
I almost feel
yeah.
like merchants should, if they offer free shipping, they should at least disclose like how much it costs them. Where I don't know like why they would need to do that, but it would be an interesting kind of consumer exercise to make people realize that there is a cost to shipping.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. It's almost like a transparent supply chain transparency type of deal.
Yeah.
Have you heard
Amazon
of
has this thing
yeah.
where oh,
Oh,
I
sorry,
was
sorry, go ahead.
just gonna say Amazon has this thing where you can like delay sometimes your shipping a little bit and you get, I don't know, like a credit or a bonus. So that's kind of the other side of it.
I've seen that. I've seen that. I know. It's like delay it an extra day, you get $1 credit, or like just you save a tree or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to admit, I've never clicked on that, dude. I'm a horrible person.
I'm curious like what the take up rate is on that option because I feel like most people
It's
unless they're not going to be in town or something, they're like, well, obviously I want it as quickly as possible if it's the same price.
yeah. Have you heard of Temu? Temu? I don't know how to
No, I
pronounce
don't
it.
think so.
Dude, I just saw somebody mention it today. There's this guy named Molson. This guy named Molson Hart. Do you follow him?
Hmm. Mm-mm.
Dude, I started following him recently. He's just friggin' crazy. I guess he sells stuff on. Well, he sells stuff on Amazon, and he's just a really interesting dude on Twitter. But he mentioned that his Amazon performance is like way down because of Temu, and Temu is it's not loading for me right now, but
Um,
it's like an Amazon-ish type site that has crazy low prices. Oh, it's a Chinese
Interesting.
company. Chinese companies like Temu are eviscerating American businesses and take over U.S. retail. Um, I don't know how it works. I just looked it up today, but uh, I guess they're doing
Interesting.
something to save on prices and stuff. But
I mean,
I'll have to
if you're,
drill into that later.
I don't know what he's selling, but if you're selling this stuff on Temu, the Temu site is like eyebrow like pluckers and like scissors and stuff. I'm like, well, maybe the Chinese can have that. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna let them have that market.
maybe you should sell more original products if like Chinese can rip it off so easily, or anyone can rip it off.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, did you see TikTok Shop?
A little bit, yeah. I've seen it in action, and people keep asking about it. Have you seen it?
Dude, to me this is nuts because Like it's their own e-commerce deal. It's not an integration. It's you can sell stuff directly through TikTok as a merchant, and then the
Yeah.
buyers can buy it. It just totally integrated, which is crazy to me because like TikTok is I mean, all the D2C merchants are constantly talking about their TikTok ads. Well, they're doing obviously meta ads and stuff too, but it
Yeah.
seems like TikTok is one of the biggest traffic sources, and so I mean, they're disintermediating the ecom platforms directly, and like that's
Mhm.
crazy to me because dude, TikTok's execution in tech is unstoppable. Like they're, I
Yeah.
mean, they're so good. Like even just starting to use YouTube Shorts recently, like it's just kind of janky compared to, because I stopped using TikTok, I deleted it, but
Hmm.
um, this is crazy. Like this to me could be the thing that disrupts Shopify.
Well, it's like Instagram did the whole shopping thing, I don't know, a
Mm-hmm.
year or two ago, and everyone
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, like you're gonna stop using the e-commerce
Mm-hmm.
platforms." And then they had
Mm-hmm.
the integrations, and then I
Mm-hmm.
think they took shopping off of the bottom tray in Instagram. It was like
Mm-hmm.
a little full circle of, okay, we tried it and it wasn't that big, but
Mm-hmm.
but TikTok is pretty huge, and the whole like social commerce stuff, I could see really taking off, but I think
Yeah.
it still has to connect back to, I mean, it doesn't have to, but like if you're big enough, you still need to fulfill those orders. Like you probably need to connect back to your main shop at some point to get them out. Um,
Dude, I think they're doing fulfillment and everything. It's
really?
fucking crazy. Yeah, let me
I
see.
don't know about that.
Products need to be
Maybe
uploaded.
they're
I
doing
could have
Flexport.
sworn. I could have sworn I saw that
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, you're right. Uh,
Yeah, dude, it's
in the
fucking
UK,
crazy, bro.
it says TikTok Shop launches new logistics offer fulfilled by TikTok in the UK. But
Dude, it's crazy.
interesting.
Yeah, dude, it's nuts, man. They're taking over, dude. They're taking over. Um, anyway, let's pretend. Let's hope that's not going to happen and get back to talking about Shopify.
I mean, maybe TikTok will be banned tomorrow. Like, I feel like every
Yeah,
couple months they make some announcement. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna ban it like next week."
I know. It's so crazy. I did delete it just because I felt like, from a spyware perspective, it was probably good. But
See,
yeah.
I
So
deleted it because it was just I had too many social media things. I feel like Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn is all I can handle. And,
hmm
it's the only scrolling I can handle. Like a fourth one is just a little too much. I would have to like quit something. Maybe Instagram.
yeah, yeah. I hear that. I hear that. You got too much going on the Instagram side of things. I see your posts, man. I see what you got going on Instagram. Um,
I think I'm old enough. Like TikTok is like a young person's game, and Instagram is like old people like us.
well, I'm not old.
We're pretty old.
Yeah, we're pretty freaking old, man.
What generation are you?
I'm technically, because at the very, very tail end of millennial, but
Okay.
I'm 42. But I feel
Okay.
like I'm whatever the next generation is, Generation X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
It's
Yeah, I feel
X
like
and
I'm
then
Generation
millennials.
X.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're the same generation. I mean,
technically,
you're
yeah.
you're an I think they call them elder millennials. You're not gonna like that.
Yes, that's what I am. That's what I
Yeah.
am. I'm an elder. I'm an elder.
Yeah.
Elder statesman. Yeah, I'm an
Yeah.
elder millennial. That's exactly what I am.
Yeah.
But it's weird because a lot of times I identify with the mindset of the youngsters. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be free. I want to do random stuff. I want to travel in an RV.
Yeah.
Like all that kind of shit.
It's
So,
okay.
yeah,
Doing
I
what the kids these days are.
yeah, like yeah. I do. I do very much. So,
I
but then I
I don't.
also identify with the old people too.
Yeah, you're bridging the gap.
Yeah, I bridge the
I,
gap. That's what I try to do.
I don't think with the pace of technology, the generations, I don't think they're short enough because there's a big difference in the
That's
experience
true.
of a person that was born at the beginning versus the end of the generation. So
Yeah.
I feel like they need to like have micro generations within the generations to define you grew up with floppy disk, you grew up with AI. Like I think
Totally.
the kids in school now, have ChatGPT to do their homework basically. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna change
Mm-hmm.
everything. ChatGPT is like the new calculator. It's for papers, for math, for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if people are gonna be smarter or more dependent on
Mm-hmm.
technology. I assume they are. Like, I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's probably good on the aggregate, but in the short term, it kind of like deprives them of like, okay, like I need to know how to do math like the manual way first before I like use the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I need to know how to write an email versus not always having to rely on ChatGPT for an email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you using GPT yourself, like regularly these
Yeah,
days?
like
Yeah.
regularly, like every 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay. Because I had been using it a lot, and then I stopped, and then I'll use it pretty rarely. I saw a couple of other people post something similar to that,
hmm
but I think that's good actually. Like I wish I was using it more for stuff, but I sort of got out of that excitement phase, and then it's only every once in a while I'll have a reason to use it, and then I'm more likely to like if I use it and it doesn't quite give me what I want, I'm more likely to be like,
hmm
this is stupid.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Have
like
you used,
I had oh sorry.
I was gonna say, have you used the new mode where you can upload things and it uses like Python and it'll execute Python?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I used that for one of these podcast transcripts and it was really bad.
Oh wait, I
The
told you
quality.
about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, you did. You
Yeah.
did. Yeah, yeah, that's
You
right.
told
Yeah,
me.
you did. Have you used it for anything cool? Did it anything that it worked
Yeah.
out well for? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean I've used it for like presentations, emails, um
But like
uh
the upload thing specifically?
yeah, yeah, well it's you can upload like whatever you want. You could upload a
Mm-hmm.
data set like a CSV
Yeah.
file and it'll parse it, but also it's
Mm-hmm.
just nice to be not limited in the text that you upload. Like, I can upload
Yeah.
this long email or this long paper or something.
Yeah. I just felt like when I did the upload version of it, the quality was completely different. Because like what
Mm,
I was doing is I uploaded a transcript and I was asking it to do time codes
yeah.
for the transcript, and it wasn't good at all. Whereas if I upload a transcript from like a 2 minute, 3 minute video where I don't have to upload it, I can just paste it in. It's short enough that I can just paste it in. It felt like its ability to synthesize and find the highlights
Yeah.
like always seemed really good to me versus the
hmm
uploaded one. It was not anywhere near the same level of quality.
That's interesting. I think maybe the reason is once you upload something, it has to use Python to like
Hmm.
extract it, and then it maybe
Hmm.
doesn't use the normal algorithms to process the rest of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's doing something different somehow.
tying tying that back into Shopify, Toby was talking about the whole Sidekick AI thing,
Hmm.
and I'm really interested in like actually seeing that in action. Theoretically, it could be super useful, like because they do have the data. It's just, how
Hmm.
how can they leverage it to really like answer people's questions and like give them e-commerce marketing recommendations.
Hmm. One of the things he said at the All In Summit that really stuck out to me, he said from a survey of successful stores, 85% answered that they had someone who would return a text within 24 hours with a question about starting a business, which is a sort of a very technical way of saying they had somebody they could text questions to. These, which I mean, I'm imagining it's like, for example, if you had if we were both had stores and you had a successful one, you're somebody that I could text. That was a huge indicator of, or a predictor of success. And I didn't realize, that was a really interesting statistic, but, so I think that it was part of it's interesting to think of it from that frame, that it's not just, oh, I want this thing to help me turn a sale on, or I want this thing to help me do something specific. Like bigger picture, it goes back to that, how to help that budding entrepreneur, like how to try to replace that, because not everybody has that successful friend that they can text.
Totally.
That was there was a really interesting piece there.
Maybe even like almost like a e-commerce therapist or like a mentor. There's this AI called Pi.ai. I think it's by Anthropic, another one of the unicorn AIs. And it has like a WhatsApp integration, or you just chat with it on WhatsApp, and it basically acts like a therapist. It's like, oh yeah, I see how you like would think that, and like how you feel that way. What about this? What about this? And I could see them, building more of that like support system into it, of like, okay, like, yeah, I hear your sales are down. Let's brainstorm what we can do to increase your sales. Having some sort of outside voice that like people can rely on if they don't have that actual human to text.
Dude, I really want to use this. I actually looked at it the other day when you tweeted about it. But I don't want to say too much to this thing, because I don't. But like,
to be used against you sometimes.
Yeah, dude. I think I'll start saying some messed up stuff, and then I'll be in trouble. But I didn't. Yeah.
It's interesting. Would you be more comfortable telling a person, like a therapist, or would you be more comfortable telling an AI like your deepest, darkest secrets?
Well, at least it's not being recorded. I mean, at least in theory, it's not being recorded if you talk to somebody in person.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. How do you do the WhatsApp? That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. I think you sign in and then just WhatsApp it. Let me see. Or they might just have a number.
Use phone number. Oh, great. Now they have my phone number.
Yeah.
If I get taken down, Mark, it's your fault.
You're a little paranoid about that kind of stuff. It's okay.
Well, if you're going to talk to it like a therapist, and be like, my wife is a pain in the butt or something like that, or,
But maybe it's better to tell like an AI that kind of stuff than like a human. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably
it feels like you could be more vulnerable with something that's like, it can't judge you. It's an AI,
That's true. I really want to do this, man. Like I actively need therapy, dude. I am a mess. So
You should try it. There's also like Talkspace. Talkspace is like kind of almost a very like, it's similar because you're texting, but you're texting with like a real therapist.
I'm gonna try this, man. Have you done it? The Pi.ai? Have you like told it some shit?
I've had like deep conversations with this
shit.
AI. It's like my best friend now.
That's fucking crazy.
That's what cool. that tweet came from, because it's like, I mean, I think it's a good thing in the short term, but I do wonder like how it's going to change society, where, even like kids, like, they feel like alone or isolated, and they're like, they find comfort in talking to an AI, which I think is good in the short term, but then in the long term, you don't talk to as many people. And think about, it's like social media. People said that social media would make people like less social because they'd just be online. I think that wasn't true. I think it ended up making people have more out of the computer interactions. But I could see with AI, people just get used. so used to talking to the AI, like that movie Her. Did
Mhm.
you see that with Joaquin Phoenix? Like it was he was talking to an AI. I think he fell in love with the AI or something, and it got weird eventually. But you know,
Yeah. No, I think I might have started to watch this and then it got a little dark or something like that.
yeah, it gets a little weird.
It's wacky. I have to watch that, dude. Yeah. I think it's so hard to predict it. Like at the end of the day, dude, we're all figuring out as we go. You know,
Hmm.
like we're building a tool, we're scratching an itch. We have theories about how it's going to shake out, but nobody has any idea. Like I think the best we can do is we can go, "Hey, this thing seems kind of cool. Let's try it."
Yeah.
And then could it lead to our destruction? Yeah, of course.
Right.
Like, or could it lead to this like utopian, future where like loneliness is like not a thing anymore? You know? Yeah, that's possible too, dude. It's just fucking, we just gotta do it. Nobody has any clue how any of this is gonna end up,
It's like
you
that
know?
quote from Jurassic Park of like they were so focused on whether they could, they didn't think about whether they should. And
Yeah,
yeah, but
but we're always focused on that. Like it's hardwired into our brains to think about whether
yeah,
we could, you know?
yeah, like at least dream and try to do the impossible, and then maybe along the way you think of like some guardrails, and I know that the AI companies are thinking about those kind of things, but
Hmm.
you don't want to hamper it too much. Like you want to still dream and um, you
Hmm.
know do it safely, but like get there. Like you
Yeah.
want to advance.
Yeah. I had this moment recently. I was just watching, Sam Altman is one of the guys that I like. I believe in him. I'm like a fan.
Yeah.
And I had this moment the other day just watching a clip of him and kind of thinking about different things, thinking about how Elon is very concerned about AI and how they sort of broke up and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then I was looking at the video and I was just kind of looking at him and I was like, I think this fucking guy is a problem.
Really? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of
He's
did.
a
I kind of,
sociopath. Uh-oh.
yeah, dude, I kind of switched up on him, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know if I trust him,
I
but
think I think he's almost like a techno optimist of like,
yeah,
technology can only make life better, and
yeah,
we need to just push it as far as we can.
yeah,
I'm kind of
yeah,
the same way, so I don't disagree.
yeah, yeah. I think
We'll,
so.
we'll figure out the consequences later, and at that point we'll find solutions for that. Like history has been full of like people developing things like chlorine gas. It's like
Right.
it was I think it was like a fertilizer, and then they used it as like a gas and killed a lot of people. And it's there's always like
Jesus,
a dark
Mark.
side, but I think we
Yeah,
that's the challenge. We have to figure out how to like adapt to the ramifications of technology as well.
yeah, yeah. The Timu site finally loaded for me. Been waiting for like
It's a
20
wonder that they
minutes.
sell anything. It's so slow.